evening. It's Thursday, July 7th, 2022. Welcome back to BoomerRexTonight, your nearly daily source for news and politics. I'm RisenLadyHeathen. Hey, asshole, what's ever? It's our show from other Millennial news podcasts.
Said I've invented a whole new way to be mean to Boomer Rex.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, you
I
have.
make it look like I'm going to do something, and he's all like, oh, what's he going to do?
Right.
Oh, fuck.
And not only do we have a boomer, we have a Gen Zer.
So we have a boomer and a Gen Zer, and not just any boomer and
Just like
Gen
when we step
Zer.
on the intro.
We have Mr. Boomer Rex himself.
Help.
And my spawn, Sleet.
I'm being held here against my will, but I'm paid enough money to make it worthwhile.
The both of you fuck around and get taken into whichever of the various protective services and enjoy getting molested by the most homely of humans.
Asshole and Boomer, you two eat, sleep, and breathe politics, and Sleet and I are learning that's 4 unique perspectives we share along with the facts from our literal round table. Let's dig
And it is still round.
into our headlines. No, I will not eat that. What are you not eating?
Bullshit.
Oh, so,
Put your mouth on the noun.
yeah, well, it doesn't work that way.
The fuck it doesn't.
Verb the noun.
Okay, I totally took it as someone saying they weren't going to eat a thing, and like I watched a young man say he wasn't going to eat frog eggs. Do you know what happened?
Yeah.
He ate frog eggs. The bigger one just held him down. Just did a thing.
All right.
Yeah, what?
So it turns out the Hakone and aquarium in Japan, they're like everybody else, right? They have found the economic situation.
That's why I had to make my
tough.
jokes now before it gets gross.
And so they changed from feeding their creatures ahi, which is Japanese mackerel, to feeding them mackerel. And so they have these wonderful pictures of penguins going, no, thank you, turning their little heads away and so forth. So in case you're worried about the penguins starving to death,
Well, I am now.
it turns out if you kind of mix them, they kind of eat them. So, but I feel bad for the penguins.
Yeah, they got used to eating this one thing, and now you're trying to feed them something else. Like,
Yeah.
that's
I
not...
feel like you
So-
should have mixed
It's
them in.
almost like it's the same species of fish, just different subdivision.
We don't care that much. Oh, I guess the choice is ahi. And
Yeah.
hey, whatever. You're just mad I don't like calamari.
All right. Turtles strike back like the Ninja Turtles.
All right. So you've got to imagine this beach in Florida, right? So this beach is getting set up for their annual fireworks show.
Oh, yeah.
And the beach is like 3/4 empty.
Yeah, that was the part that made me so
And
angry.
a few places on the beach are cordoned off, and they have a little sign that explains they're cordoned off because it's a sea turtle nest, right? And they don't want you going in there and
Yeah, they're
squishing-
very serious about that in Florida.
Yeah.
That you can get fined, put in jail. Yeah, they're very
Yeah.
serious about don't fuck with the
Should have been
turtles.
put in a chokehold.
So anyway, this 33-year-old asshole named Brandon Bowen stepped over the cordon, right? And he's standing there on top of the sea turtle nest. Meanwhile, people are trying to explain to him why it's cordoned off and so forth and so on. And he's screaming back, right? It's the standard, you told me I need to do something and I'm going to be
Shitty about
obscenely,
it.
yeah. So anyway, so they took movies and so forth and they called the cops. And so again, his name is Brandon, doesn't that figure, Bowen. And he has subsequently been arrested and charged with harassing or molesting marine turtles or their eggs. And is currently being held on $5,000 bond.
Yeah.
So enjoy your time in jail,
Yeah,
asshole.
they're not fucking around in Florida. Like, when they have
Well,
those
there was
times
no
up,
reason
those are
for
not
this.
polite suggestions, okay?
If this was the only spot on the
Don't
beach, I
fuck
could have
with
halfway understood him, going in there to watch the fireworks and not understanding. But that's not what this was. People explained it to him. Plenty of open space on the beach. And the cocksucker stood on the sea turtle nest.
I would
So-
go dig up that nest, figure out how many he broke, and charge him for each of them.
Fine him 1,000 per, maybe even more.
Yeah,
Whatever the fine
again,
is for killing a sea turtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, again, Florida ain't fucking around when they tell you to stay off the fucking turtle nests.
Yeah,
So,
I love it.
Here's a warning for y'all. And again, like, there's signs.
Come on.
You live in Florida.
Yeah.
You know what this is.
They didn't pick some random guy on the beach and say, hey, you're standing on a sea turtle nest. Son of a bitch had to step over a taped off cordoned area.
Yeah.
So
That's a thought I'm not
fuck you.
allowed to say out loud.
Oh, okay. What were you going to do to him?
I think all the people with mental illness could be superheroes if they just started attacking motherfuckers like this. Because this is like that rolling coal shit.
Yeah.
This is one of those rejecting society at a fundamental level
Yeah.
that should get you fucking pit maneuvered, literally or figuratively. I don't care, and I'm not going to do it to you.
Right.
And I don't think other
And
people
I don't
should.
recommend it. Right. Absolutely.
It'll fuck up your paint. But no, you don't want to cooperate. That's fine, shithead. Somebody
go,
fetch a
turtles.
jawbone. I'm gonna sort this out now.
All right. Ding.
Well, you
dong.
fetch one from him. It's jawbone of an ass.
No, it makes me want to
Sorry.
weave a bullshit conspiracy theory that it was all the shitbirds that are why all the trees are going away because we used to get these motherfuckers in the forest and the woods and just sort them.
Yeah.
One way or the other, I either put the fear of God into them or they fell off a thing.
Ding dong, the bitch is dead. Who's dead?
Boris Johnson resigned.
Yes.
I love it. Don't let the door hit you in the butt, fat boy.
Forgot your whip.
Now, you compare him to
monster.
Trump, right? There's no comparison in terms of criminality, and he's gone. So, hey, world, time to work on the next one.
Yeah. No, I see him as genuinely more dangerous the same way I see DeSantis as a bigger threat.
Oh, much bigger.
Yeah. Well,
Because
smart.
there's an intellect there. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and at this point, I don't believe you can get a good enough read on DeSantis of whether or not he'll give the order to do it.
Yeah.
Trump wouldn't.
Well,
That's
Trump's
why.
a coward.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank fucking God for that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we'd have found out what the next emergency brake that worked was. In a system that's old enough, I don't think we should play that game.
I hear Boris Johnson had some cool musical.
I love this because Benny Hill is very much a thing that British feel ways about. And if you know them well, they'll talk to you about it because they either like it or they don't.
Yeah. It's very low class British humor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some of that's the enjoying how much it bothers the elites.
Oh, absolutely.
But apparently there's this, I don't know if,
It's like the Germans
There's
and the umpa music.
like rolling protest, I guess.
Yeah.
Because the person apparently didn't have their speakers for a while and now they do.
Uh-huh.
Because remember, the British don't have a First Amendment right. Or what they have for freedom of speech is wildly different.
Yes.
So he sits near Parliament and plays the music, and who was it? It was a fucking name out of nowhere. Hugh Grant.
Yes.
There's a name that hasn't rung out since the 90s.
I know.
And yeah, he's requested the Benny Hill theme.
Yeah.
And so it
Which is
managed
perfect.
to go out over some
Yes.
of the broadcasts of very serious British people talking to very
Not the resignation
Yep.
of Boris Johnson. Yep.
well, and they can cut it when it's the studio talking, but then they have to go back
Yeah.
because John's got more to tell us about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it, fuck them.
Yeah.
You should be ridiculed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever should happen should make you so toxic you can't be on the board of stuff.
Yeah.
Who's
He
his
may
line?
Boris Johnson may have succeeded. So
Who was
sadly,
it?
Trump has not yet succeeded.
Who was
No, not as long as people are willing to vote for him and continue to spread his
Again, he has
lies.
he has the support of the American Taliban.
Harlan Ellison.
All right.
Americans don't know how to hold a grudge, and that's the fucking problem.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
Russia says the West risks the wrath of God. Oh, dear.
So I see something
I'm
interesting
scared.
happening in the shit that's being said by, what is the name of that third world? Oh, Russia. Yeah, that one. The one that has the same GDP as Tennessee. So this is a nothing country. Vladimir Zelensky was saying, hey, thank you, U.S., for the new artillery systems, the medium range, right, which are incredibly accurate, and they've been using to shoot at Russian depots, which is exactly the way to defeat the Russians. So, anyway, a top Russian official warned that the U.S. warned the U.S. against punishing actions in Ukraine, saying it risks incurring the wrath of God. You don't have the wrath of God. You've got a fifth-rate military and a fifth-rate economy, and you're not going to wreak destruction on anybody.
You've endangered the world because the world now believes there is a non-0% chance that if you turn those keys, Ivan, that a big thing's going to come out that says bang in fucking Cyrillic.
Yeah. So anyway, Putin has been saying during a meeting with the heads of the State Duma party, he says, we're not refusing peace negotiations, but those who do refuse should know that the further this conflict continues, the more difficult it will be for them to negotiate with us. So you see this rise in rhetoric, which to me suggests that they know they're in military trouble in the Ukraine, that they're overextended, they can't defend their supply lines, and when Ukraine finishes off the depots,
Declare victory and
they're
go
going to
home.
come for the fucking 1950s tanks. So I'm
Russia,
good with
if
that.
you end it by the end of the week, we'll keep Ukraine on their side of the line when this is over.
Yep.
Otherwise, you
And
may
in
have just lost the southern half of the Russian Federation.
And in 15 years, we
don't know
might
if there's anything
forgive
in
you. And if Putin and his allies are gone,
There is a
we
cheat
might
code to that.
begin to do business with you again a little bit to see how you do.
Yeah, we should be wildly
And
less slutty next time.
what was it the
Looking
British
at
said
you, the Mitt
about
Romney
us?
types.
What was it the British said about us? That we don't know how to hold a grudge?
Oh, Harlan Ellison, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Learn, shitheads.
we can learn, absolutely.
We hold grudges, just not against the right
Yep.
people sometimes.
You are now a third world country and will continue to be into the foreseeable future.
No, and a lot of our dads and granddads came home from World War II with stories about Russians that they had vaguely met where they weren't the fucking problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, things broke down the way they broke down because Russia went its way, and that's fine, but this is all shitheady and different.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. IRS chief refers Comey McCabe audit decision.
Good.
Yeah. So here are two enemies of Trump who were subjected to the supposedly random detailed audits, compliance audits is what they're called by the IRS.
The real ones.
Yeah.
What everyone who's old enough to remember audits and be afraid of them.
Yep. No, I've known people who were subjected to them, and they're a pain in the butt.
No,
They were
it's
a pain
not
in the
fucking
butt
around.
for 9 or 10 months. And in the two cases I'm aware of, the good news was they sent good IRS people to do it.
Yeah, no, that's the...
And at the end of it, both of them received substantial additional tax returns.
Hell yeah.
So, or refunds. So anyway, because they had an IRS person saying, no, that's deductible. Why didn't you deduct that? So anyhow, but again, this has been referred to the Inspector General, and we'll find out how it was that two of Trump's enemies were suddenly and near simultaneously selected for compliance audits. And here, you just work from the bottom up. Is who told you to do the audit? Where's the paperwork? Let's see it. And just keep right on going up the chain.
No.
So I think this is going to wind up bad for somebody. So we shall see.
Someone I know who was studying to be an accountant said, and they said they deny it if I ever quoted them.
Ah, well, don't quote them. Just tell me what they said.
That the system would almost work better if everyone cheated as hard as they think the real cheats are cheating.
Well, true. Because the real cheats are cheating better than that.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the amount of stuff that was, back then at least, deductible in terms of mileage and the rest of the things, where everyone's like, oh, but I didn't keep a logbook. Go say I don't give a fuck about your logbook.
Yeah.
You're not claiming a real number of miles. How many zeros does it have? Yeah, shut up, keep going. You're fucking funny, buddy.
So anyway, I love it. Let's do the investigation. Let's see if we can get somebody on the hook.
Yeah.
And if somebody from the Trump administration reached out, that's a federal felony.
Yes, burn them the
prosecuted.
fuck down.
Yes, absolutely. Got them.
If you want
To believe in
if you
the
want Americans
system?
under 50 to believe in the system again, we need to sacrifice some motherfuckers to it.
Well, let's be sure it's motherfuckers, but I'm all on board.
Yes.
Make examples of them.
We're burning down innocent people right now, so I'm not. I will turn.
And we're
as
lying to
interested
do
in
it, and
eyeing
then we
the
don't
truth.
even apologize when we fucking lie
Yeah.
to do it. It drives me crazy.
I'll worry about CEOs getting fucked over when they get fucked at the rate we know the American people are.
Absolutely.
All right.
Because maybe I won't care even that.
Because right now my answer is it a CEO? Chuck it in the wood chipper. Let's go.
All right. Lock them up. Who
No,
are we locking up
They're
and
like
why?
goldfish. They don't feel it.
So, a judge has denied efforts by Georgia's lieutenant governor and a former state lawmaker to avoid testifying in the Fulton County investigation into whether President Donald Trump and his allies illegally tried to reverse the 2020 election results in the state of Georgia. So, if I were you guys, I would show up and testify, or I'd show up and make a fucking deal.
Somebody moved
Because
to
these are getting serious.
Somebody moved to disbar fucking Lindsey Graham. I agree with the point.
Yeah.
Whoever brought the charges against the
Yeah.
other idiot lawyers, there has to be a
Absolutely.
cost. Because they're lawyers. They're supposedly friends of the court. They're supposedly officers of various courts.
Yeah, I loved what the judge said. He said, where the legislative privilege ends and the grand jury's authority to question the witness about possible criminal electoral interference by others begins, is when a witness or his staff has engaged with private citizens on topics relevant to the grand jury's investigation charter. So hang on to your hats, my friends. Georgia might be serious.
Georgia, please. Oh my God. You have no idea how much I could use a southern state getting it right and putting it over the fence.
Damn Skippy.
No, because I grew up in the South, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of me that loves a lot about the South.
Yep.
There's a lot of me that would
Smell of
also lead a
magnolias,
second
the
Sherman's
Southern
March,
breakfast.
motherfuckers, and don't ever
Grits
forget
done
it. But
right.
I know. No, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? That.
Mm-hmm.
But do it right, Georgia. Come on now.
Yeah.
You've got it in you. I know you do. You've done some stuff where you didn't fuck up before. I can't
All
think
right.
of any right now, and it's sounding less like a compliment, and I just want the sentence to end.
Yeah.
All right. There might be consequences.
A legal advocacy group, advocacy group.
Advocacy group.
Yeah, shut up. Is seeking to disbar lawyers who
I'm sorry.
advocated for Donald Trump's 2020 election conspiracy theories. It's called the 65 Project because there were 65 lawsuits, all of which were kicked out of courts.
I'm glad you had the
laughingly.
story, because I was just going to reference it as a one-off, so...
So anyway, the complaints against Mark Scarinci, Donald Hicks, Carolyn McGee, and Jenna Ellis, among others. So they lent their law license and their legal profession's integrity and power to an orchestrated effort to undermine our nation's elections. So the best way to do with lawyers is to ensure that there are personal and professional consequences of the actions that they take.
There have to be.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, it's the nightmare scenario that the dumb half of Mitt Romney's thing about corporations are people. Right? No, it cannot be a box out of which you just assemble
Right.
sociopath after sociopath to go out and steal all the old people money.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's your idea of capitalism, then cool, let's take it to the streets.
Yeah. And let's get the money back.
Yeah, I am not that interested in living indoors. I fuck society.
We'll let your family buy you back piece at a time.
See, this is the problem, because like I take an early off ramp because otherwise I use all of my vocabulary words to be like, no, listen, vendetta, seriously. Boys understood it, that if you do a bad thing, it's not whatever I do to you.
Right.
It's where I'm going after that's over.
Yep.
And I think you could get boys to understand that, or conversely, I think you could get families to explain to their kids, if you fuck around and get us done in, right, if I think you might, you're going to fall off a thing.
Again,
Don't do
no
vendetta.
one is advocating violence.
No.
But the thing that the ultra-rich might want to remember is that when there is no justice in the courts, there are always the streets. So, cool.
No, that you've got to stop running the machine is to see how many people you can make have nothing.
Yeah.
Because those people are unpredictable and they're the most heavily armed nation on Earth.
Yeah.
See, that's what we should have. We should have pretended we were broadcasting from the moon.
Oh.
So we could really call it high above the fray.
Ah, yes.
But, well.
Anyway,
I think
Framing
I could
device
arrange that.
ruined.
All right.
Barnabas, finish the device.
Ken Paxton seeks to dismiss Texas bar's lawsuit against him because, of course, he does.
He's seeking to dismiss a professional misconduct lawsuit filed by the state bar against him related to his legal challenge of the 2020 presidential election. In a court filing, he asked the district to dismiss the Texas State Bar's lawsuit. Oh my God. So anyway, there are 4 former heads of the Texas State Bar Association that are party to this suit, right? So here we are again, another Trumpista who may be disciplined by the court because he's a lawyer and was expected to behave differently than he behaved.
Yeah.
So again, fuck him up, right? Disbar the son of a bitch.
Do it, lawyers, or we are coming perilously close to the place where that the fun made up universe about the killing all the lawyers and busloads being good starts.
Yeah, how everyone says lawyers are terrible, terrible people. Don't prove them right.
Yeah.
Prove them wrong, motherfuckers.
Don't prove them right again.
Keep
Right?
it
Yeah.
keep it in question. Stay within the Schrodinger smoke buddy.
Yeah, there you go.
Because once you leave the Schrodinger's cat paradox protection, you're probably all gonna get killed.
I will giggle when I hear about you getting lit up.
Yep.
I will absolutely tell people they shouldn't light each other up.
Boomer Rex's About Damn Time.
This
Tell
one
the good
made me
news.
so angry when I read it the first time. And now I am so proud of Wisconsin.
Uh-oh.
The Supreme
Just the
Court
kids-
of Wisconsin upheld a lower court ruling that allows Crystal Kaiser to argue self-defense to justify killing the man who she said had sexually abused her and trafficked her when she was a minor.
Excellent.
She killed him and burned his house down.
Fuck
She
'em.
For
says,
her.
she says she doesn't remember shooting him and she doesn't remember starting a fire.
That's fucking
Awesome.
tragic.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wish. Do we have security footage? Like, she should get to be able to watch that whenever she wants. Like that should go on your highlight reel, honey. That's tragic.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's sad.
She tried to use the legal defense. They were telling her they couldn't. The legal defense, again, and there is one, offers victims of trafficking an affirmative defense for any offense committed as a direct result.
Fuck yeah.
So, again, I think with that on the table, they're going to find it very difficult to find 12 people to vote for her to be guilty.
Fuck, man, I hope so.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If this ends up going to the Supreme Court, we all know how they're gonna roll.
I hadn't thought of that. I had a minute of like fun and hope, and it was
No, if
working.
this goes to the Supreme Court, this poor lady's gonna get fucked.
Wisconsin would be foolish to
Hey.
get there.
And every case who's at the Supreme Court is fucked. Because once you exhaust that, it's over. So
Sure. Well, and who wants to go before the kangaroos?
yeah, well, and I get that some of those are much hoppier than previous.
Yeah. Did you ever notice how much What's-Her-Tail looks like a kangaroo?
Sure.
Anyway.
I do know we've also got some really bad rulings from previous courts that are now being held up in some amazing light. Like they were awesome, so we can
Yeah.
memory hole everything that wasn't old enough ago. No one wants to come out in the street and shout about it. Or if
Yeah.
they do, someone's looking for them. Fuck, that was rude. I'm sorry.
All right. Hold on. I'm there. Dumbass of the day.
So, as little as I like mentioning Donald Trump's name, as the net closes around him and his advisors, he went on the Twitter knockoff app, Truth Social. What is he? They've got, what, 4 subscribers? 5 subscribers, anyway. So we went on there. Now, recall that he pressured Raffensperger twice after the victory was declared to somehow scrounge up 11,780 ballots, which would be one more than what he needed. There's a recording of that conversation, which, of course, Trump keeps denying. He says, both my phone calls to Georgia were perfect. I had an absolute right to make them. Well, first of all, both of those statements are false in every way you can think about. So, he says they cheated in the 2020 presidential election. There is no evidence whatsoever of meaningful fraud in the 2020 election.
Yeah.
And those who believe they were are gullibles.
Yeah, they've had long enough. When the fuck does everyone not cut bait? Like,
Yeah.
it's time to go.
Even Kellyanne Conway is telling him to forget about 2020.
Even the idiots that want to pretend cell phones cause cancer.
Yeah.
Like, the people that want to whatever, they've got a kernel of, that's odd.
Yeah. So he says, letter to follow. God, I cannot wait to see a letter. So, anyway, I love it.
Today's episode of Dipshit Rattling On.
Yeah.
Brought to you by the letter Q.
Yeah. Just wonderful.
Fuckers.
All right.
You and I have been talking a lot tonight.
Trump secretly
Seems like we
left
saw all the
his
same news.
social media company's board.
Yeah, sort of right before the subpoenas went out. And the subpoenas are related to an illegal negotiation conducted by the SPAC, right? That's the blank check company, and Trump's idiotic media company, Trump Media Technology Group. So anyway, the investigation is related to that $1.3 billion merger. And they've been served subpoenas seeking records that were sought from Trump Media, et cetera, et cetera. So Trump had a licensing deal with the company, but he had himself removed from the chairmanship. And so former Representative Devin Nunes is still listed as CEO.
Oh.
And businessman Philip, now we know why he wanted Devin Benghazi Boy Nunes.
Yeah.
It was because he was so dumb he could leave him holding the bag.
Yeah.
Way to go, Devin. God, you're stupid.
Oh, fuck. How's it feel to be a patsy, motherfucker?
Right?
The other board members removed with Trump were Kashyap Patel, a Nunes ally who served various roles in the former president's administration,
Well, and apparently there's
Donald
future
Trump
ones.
Jr.,
Of course.
and former Trump assistant Scott Glabe. So Trump pulled all his good friends out and left little Devin Benghazi Boy Nunes holding the bag.
Oh,
God, I
hold up.
love it.
Nope, stop. I want to make a deal with, like, the actual devil.
Okay.
Not Mitch McConnell. Like, a real one. Comey and his thing, we'll let that go. Because I like the idea that Comey just has to live with the fact that the system fucked him. A thing he gave his entire life for and maybe believes in, or I don't know how you could be an FBI director of the FBI and still believe in any of it. But the IRS came for him because a president willed it. And that's the system he served for.
And he helped
You were
create
chief
by
fuck
looking
off.
the other way.
He was the chief of the tribe of goons.
Yeah.
So, again, in exchange,
So this is payback for every time he looked the other
Trump
way.
and these shitheads should catch one.
Yeah.
Right? Again, I'm not looking for the system to work. I think that ship done sailed.
Yeah.
But let it just rain. If it's a broken ass machine, then let it rain fire and electricity on everybody equally.
Yep. And if it can start with Devin Nunes, that'd be a good start.
It's actually easy to build a religion around an inconsistency.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Fight for us, God damn it!
Milquetoast Biden, for the love of fucking God. America is falling down around you while the Republicans disassemble 50 years of progress, and your statements are 2 lines about the shooting that killed 7 people when you were at a barbecue on Monday.
Hey.
And then when you were told that that wasn't enough, you added a longer statement. There's much more work to do. And we have no intention of doing it because we're Joe Biden and we're going to go along and get along and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, somebody pointed out Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito must be delighted. He bet that Biden wouldn't seriously push back on Dobbs.
Yep.
And he was right. Biden has done nothing.
Yep.
The Democratic Party has done nothing at the national level.
To anointing
At the
witch
state
hunters
level.
into the shit you can cite in front of the Supreme Court and not everyone go,
Yeah.
the fuck did you just say to me?
Yeah.
In this building of
Who were
all
you
buildings?
quoting? Yeah.
I spit
A
at you.
witch hunter? Fuck me. But again, that's all okay with Biden because, he's an institutionalist and he thinks it's all okay. And
Bullshit.
So-
I declare myself a witch hunter. I think Biden might be a witch.
Joe
I'm gonna fetch the
Biden,
dunking stool.
you've got between now and November 2024, assuming you're the nominee, which I don't think you're gonna be.
I'm hoping less so.
I
Because if
really
you don't
hope
get
he's
some
not.
shit done, I won't vote for your white ass. So
You haven't
screw
fucked up enough to
you.
get me to vote for the other guy, but
But you're
Fuck,
working
man.
on it.
you're gonna save me a day.
Well, and at some point you reach the point where you say the Democrats really need a lesson, which is to live under Trump for 4 more years.
Yeah, the left could stay home. It's never done it
Well,
before.
the left could go vote for Trump just to show the fucking Democrats what could happen.
See,
and I guarantee you they're going to be investigated in Congress,
Oh, yeah.
and charges are going to be referred to the Department of Justice.
End up held.
And under a Trump administration, with Bill Barr back as district as
If you're lucky, he at least has to dress up like he's still running the con.
Yeah.
You could end up getting tried by Don Jr.
yeah.
Oof. Yeah, this is
Absolutely.
gonna be pretty
Ivanka
folks.
could
It's-
decide.
It's gonna be bad. So
Hey, what can I tell you?
So there is a tactical argument that has to be made because I have problems. If the left were to do that, they could claim all of the unexpected votes for Trump or whoever,
Uh-huh.
and at least muddy those waters enough that really no one can tell.
Yeah.
I would advise it versus 2010 when the left stayed a little home, and
You saw what happened.
the Tea Party came out and said we were all these extra voters, and like, not really.
No.
It was we had business people over a barrel with a TSA funding issue, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
yeah. All right. American debt.
True.
Before we go on to American debt, I want to point out I selected what were kind of the top sensible news stories from today. You notice an awful lot of those have to do with Trump and Trumpistas who are being pursued in court.
Yep.
I think we may have reached a breaking point where everybody feels free to say, fuck this, I'm going to prosecute this horse shit.
There's open.
So, yeah, I certainly hope
You got a lot of power,
But it's a
prosecutors.
difference in feeling.
And they don't believe you do.
Yeah.
They think you're a sissy or whatever you don't want to be called. No offense to the sissies.
So, American debt. Rising prices in the U.S. have forced some cash-strapped shoppers into reaching for alternative payment methods for ordinary purchases.
Oh no.
This is the buy now, pay later.
No.
Right now, I guarantee you that's going to come with interest, et cetera, et cetera, et
Yeah,
cetera, et
every
cetera.
Worse than a mobster charges.
Hey, rich America, you better wake the fuck up because the working folks are getting hurt. We are the most heavily armed nation on the face of the earth, and they are not going to take it lying down. So
Well,
I
and
mean-
somebody is going to stand
keep
up
fucking this up.
and lead the abused to rise up. And whether they win or not won't fucking matter
We've
because the
already-
day after the day that happens, by midnight, we won't be a world reserve currency. We won't be 9 things. We won't be able to sell loans in dollars and we won't be able to borrow in dollars.
You won't be able to get a cop to answer your calls.
Yeah.
Right?
That's,
And
but
in
there's
3
no
months, you
landing
won't
back
have
on the
fresh
rails
water.
later. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's because, again, it makes me crazy that so much of our disaster planning is based on 9/11 when no one was affected.
Yeah.
All of Manhattan, I'm sure, was very scared.
Tough shit.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but
No,
that's
they
what we
have
built
no
our
idea
plans
what a real
on.
emergency looks like.
Right? I don't understand not modeling more off Katrina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just makes me want to swear.
Which was an
So,
incredible thing.
Anyone who's
First
rich.
of all, those of you who do, go to those places that'll give you your check early, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you're
Don't
getting ripped.
Don't.
Aye.
You are better off, living on ramen, peanut butter.
I think it's the scrabbling to stay indoors that,
Yeah.
because landlords don't give a shit.
Right.
And they'll bring the cops. And that's the end of that game right there.
Yep. Well, and then you lose all your shit. So
If you're lucky, that's what happens.
true.
For all the
Worse,
rich
you go to
people-
jail, lose all your shit, including anything alive.
For all the rich people who are hoarding, 95% of the world's money, you might want to start spending some of that pretty fucking quick, because we're gonna reach the point where the working class ain't gonna be able to live anymore, and one of them's gonna take a pot shot at you. Maybe
Yeah.
a lot of them, and the statistical likelihood of them hitting you is pretty high, considering the volume of people that'll probably be taking those pot shots.
Yep.
Don't give them a reason, and especially don't give them the opportunity.
Well, and naked capitalism tends to produce wars that are gross, and that means the tactics that are inherited by the children of those troops, and those troops when they come home, tend to be gross.
Yep.
All right.
Like, at least invest it in smaller companies or some shit.
Spend it like
big
Brewster's billions. Like
Yeah.
you got to start just going, guys.
You have the debit card with unlimited money.
they-
Start using it.
They have to replace the growth in the American economy that was when we were paying a middle class enough that a couple of people could get together with their friends and do some owner-operator shit on the side and build some actual industries out of kind of hobbies and shit.
What, all right, here's what rich people, all right, because maybe there's a couple of good rich people out there, maybe, and maybe they happen to listen to our show. If you do, welcome to the show. Please go to our Patreon and give us at least $15 a month. I know you can afford it. Fucking get on that. But next, what you need to do is, you know how you, like, travel a lot and shit, instead of going to those fancy places and stuff to buy your things, go to local shops, you know, those little small home-owned shops.
They don't shop.
Go to places like that, because then you'll actually be helping the fucking community.
Send
Because
your
when
personal
you
shopper there.
shop at, you know, those ritzy high-class stores, guess what? That money just goes to other ritzy high-class people. I know this is shocking for you to hear, but shop locally as much as you can. That's the only way to fix any of this.
No. They don't spend enough to be relevant in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Exactly. To be fair, there's only so much money they can just straight up spend before I have everything I could ever want.
They
can
should be
keep
on
it.
their knees begging to be taxed and volunteering to have their wealth taxed.
Yeah.
And then they should be asking to have America's infrastructure fixed and the school systems fixed.
Oh, yeah.
And the healthcare system fixed.
No,
and
that'd
the
be the good way
judicial
to do it.
system fixed.
No, they're not
But
going
they
to fucking do
cannot
that.
possibly spend enough to help
They're not
anybody.
going to do any of that.
I argue
Which
they
is why we
can't.
have the problem
I
with
argue
it.
they can't for personal consumption, but they're not going to.
Please. Yeah.
Right? It's just a semantic. It's a shitty part of my head. I'm going to try and stab it with this Q-tip later, but it's fine. No, in the gross way, and again, in no way encouraging any sort of nitwittery or violence. You have to get taxed by the government because the government only accepts payment in money. I cannot guarantee you if you fuck around till it's mobs, they aren't going to demand family members.
Yep.
And I don't know about rich people, but I do know that's one of those ones. Like, if you just happen to be in the house when it comes down, you're probably safe. I won't give you to a monster or let anyone else.
Right.
Because you just watched The Mist. When that crazy religious lady was talking about throwing him out in the mist,
Yeah.
oh no, that
Yeah.
human doesn't get to finish that sentence.
Huh.
All right.
Or more.
Updates with BoomerX health threats.
So, somebody has finally done the right kinds of studies. They'll be useful. They're still not widespread enough to be of any use whatsoever locally. But it turns out that they can use they can detect emerging variants early, which is critical to health interventions. They can infer lineage prevalence by clinical testing, but that's infeasible at the scale. So, especially for areas with limited resources. Wastewater testing provides excellent data on the prevalence of the various variants. Again, it's local, right? They're doing it on a university and surrounding areas. But they have also developed ways to concentrate the genome, and they are now able to identify new variants 14 days earlier in the wastewater samples.
Hell yeah.
So, again, this is useful in the sense of being forward-looking. Because, hey guys, I got a new one, right? It didn't get here by magic, right? So you should start looking at this, etc., etc. Oh, look, it's rising in prevalence. This one's really contagious, etc., etc. So, way to go.
Just need to see more of that now.
Yeah.
We're not going to do more of that.
No.
We have no public health
Yeah.
system. There is no money. There are no people. There are no resources.
And we've decided it's in our economic interest as a nation to say COVID's over.
Mhm.
Fine.
But it will help to know what the next variant is, because
Yeah.
that helps you dial in the next booster shot.
All right. Climate weirding.
Yeah, here we go. Third wave of early summer scorching in the U.S. South. It's going to get worse before it gets better. 65 million people across 16 states are under heat alerts Thursday. Triple-digit heat indices in Dallas, St. Louis, Little Rock, Birmingham, Atlanta, and Raleigh-Durham. So, to pick some big ones,
Yeah.
right? It continues a trend playing out in recent weeks on every continent in the Northern Hemisphere, and something that will become more frequent as the climate gets more fucked up. Again, this is climate weirding. This is stuff that's outside the climatology.
Yep.
You can't predict this. You can't control it. And you can't.
All we can do is slow it and hope it's causing it at this point.
All you can do at the moment is react to it, right? Open cooling centers, etc., etc., etc. But there's no way to plan for what is next year going to be like. We don't know. Next year, the problem may be flooding.
What's the opposite of a rising tide? It's a falling tide.
Yeah.
So we're about to find out everyone is naked. No, the worst thing that can possibly happen in America is happening. Americans are finding out whether or not their government works.
Yep.
Whether or not their government could look at the most predictable things that were likely to happen based on our very incredibly, strikingly limited actions taken on climate change in the last 40 years.
Yep.
That this was inevitably the outcome.
Yeah.
And I agree with the
We
inability
already know
to
from
predict
Katrina how completely
small stuff.
incompetent the government is. They wanted a government
Yep.
small enough to drown in a bathtub. They fucking got it.
Turns out they didn't tell you they were also going to drown you with it.
Yep.
Right.
That's fine. Don't
There
worry about
wasn't
it.
going to be any
I'm
help.
sure you're a very important worker, and your betters will save you.
They'll put up the factory somewhere else.
Hope you got a bunch of pretty daughters or something.
All right. So.
They're about to make it feudal.
Right. So there was not particularly much going on, and all the interesting bits, Boomer got. So,
Whoa, cool.
part of the
I'm a
reason,
USDA good source.
part of the reason why I've been being quiet is because I've been trying to search desperately for something to discuss this evening, and so finally I said fuck it, and I went to Fox News. My last
Yeah.
bastion of maybe there's something to discuss. And lo and behold, they have once again not failed me. They are currently pushing a really interesting narrative on, remember the Haitian migrant Texas border issue?
Oh, with the whipping.
With the whipping and the horses and okay, so I was on their main page, and I never leave their main page because there's no reason to. I always find something good on that very first page. Usually
Well,
within
you
the
might
first,
catch drooling racism.
usually within
Sorry.
the first several stories. So this was maybe about halfway down the first page. Anyway, it caught my eye, and I decided to read it, and it's you guys are gonna like this. So CBP proposes discipline for Texas agents accused of whipping Haitian migrants. Some top Democrats mistook the use of the border agents' reins by the to control. That's what it says. By the to control. So somebody fucking typoed the shit out of that. By the to control their horses, and said the Haitian migrants were being whipped. This is written by Louis Cassano and Bill Melugan.
See, now that we said their names, I feel bad when I say things like this is what happens when you write something really racist and then try and fill back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and again, that what I just read is the small, so the big headline, and then that was the small headline, and they just were like, it's fine, we'll just leave it. Like,
No, and I've done that before, not that, but I have written things and then gone back and filled them back in and left little artifacts like that.
Yeah.
well, and
I
just
just
the
want
other
to say
night,
something mean about people that write for Fox.
just the other night when I was typing up our description for the show, I accidentally I made a typo with the word fight, so I had to go in and had to fix it everywhere because what I do. what I do is I write it once, and then I just copy and paste it everywhere.
Yeah.
So now I had to go back in and just re-edit all that. So that was
Yep.
the pain in the ass. And I get it, but I did it. They obviously did not take the time
Yeah.
to edit it and go back and fix it.
They just went one of the racist
No,
templates.
it's amazing the number of news sites that have clearly fired their proofreaders.
Yeah. So anyway, so they say the U.S. Customs and Border Protection has sent out disciplinary proposals for border agents on horseback accused of whipping Haitian migrants in Texas last year, an event that caused a firestorm among lawmakers in Washington, D.C. Details of the punishments have not been released, but CBP is expecting to imminently announce the results of the administrative investigation, a source told Fox News. The agency made headlines last year when the agents were falsely accused of whipping the migrants along the Del Rio sector in Texas. I wish we had a horse expert here to explain that. No. Anyway, images circulated on Twitter of the agents trying to block migrants from entering the U.S., and in one case, grabbing a migrant shirt. The controversy escalated as some media outlets and Democratic lawmakers misidentified the agents' split reins, which they use and twirl to control and direct the horse, and falsely claimed the agents were using whips on the migrants. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Biden also weighed in, with Biden increasing the pressure on the besieged agents by repeating the false claims of whipping, and also previewed what we hoped would be the outcome of the investigation. To see people treated like they did, horses barely running over, people being strapped, it's outrageous, Biden told reporters, making a whipping motion with his hand. I promise you, those people will pay. There will be an investigation underway now, and there will be consequences. There will be consequences. The officer of Inspector General declined to press criminal charges against the agents, and the investigation has since moved to DHS Office of Professional Responsibility. An announcement from the CBP is imminent regarding the findings of the investigation, the source said. So, again,
We'll see what the
these
investigation
split
shows.
reins are leather. And they're, right, like, you know, what
Yeah.
a broad. So, you can whip somebody
You
with
could.
those.
I didn't see any video of that.
But it's not outrageous if they're running up on people and whipping the reins over.
No, again, so we should talk about that. What I saw in the videos that I saw were untrained horses and riders in a situation that was dangerous for everybody concerned, and they should never have been sent in. They are incompetent. I've seen people whirl the extra portion of the split reins to herd cattle, right, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, shit.
You okay?
Yeah, we'll be in a second. So again, I can absolutely believe they were whirling the remains of the split reins and so forth. I didn't see anybody that appeared to actually make contact. So we'll see what the investigation said.
Well, because I'm sure they have a lot more video.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, here's the thing. They're making it sound like this was impossible. What I'm saying is it's not impossible, just highly unlikely, depending on how close they were to these people.
Yeah, well, you could certainly use the reins to whip people.
Yeah, and it would
and in
not
fact,
feel good.
if somebody tried to grab my horse's bridle under those circumstances,
yes.
I'd have hit him right in the face with the reins without
sure.
hesitation.
No,
The part
and
that pisses me off about this is they're antagonizing the migrants. The entire thing was pretty much just focused on how the migrants were somehow lying about this, and everyone has the entire thing blown out of proportion, as opposed to just presenting the situation.
Yeah.
And then presenting the political coverage on it, like any news source trying to be unbiased would do.
Yep.
So this implies, one, they don't have anyone proofreading, and two, well, I already know this, but they're not trying to come from an unbiased position. They're not going for information. They're definitely going to try and bias the people reading
Yeah,
this.
Fox has something to sell.
Yeah.
From the mouths of babes, folks. This is our resident Gen Zer, and yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But no, this was just interesting because, again, yeah, I'm not saying that that definitely happened. I'm just saying that to completely, wipe it away and say, no, it definitely didn't happen.
On the basis of no evidence, which is
Exactly.
Fox News stock in trade.
That was my only issue with the piece,
Yep.
is that they're saying it's impossible because what they were doing was moving the horse and stuff, and that doesn't mean you can't hit somebody. Like, and again, it doesn't sound like that's what happened, but you don't know. I haven't watched enough of the videos, and again, I'm sure that the investigation, they have all of the videos they need. So we'll see how this turns out, but...
And they very well could have waited until the investigation was complete.
Yeah, I mean...
Again, they made their statements on the basis of no information whatsoever, which is the Fox News standard. What you do is you write your conclusion first, and then you make up words that... Right, that's what they do.
Yeah.
I will say the only place I know of where you routinely see split reins used as a whip is teenage girls running their ponies home from the last barrel to the timeline, right? When they swing the split reins to either side and whip the horse tone to go faster.
Yeah.
So,
Fair.
cool.
All right. So, I just wanted to discuss that briefly. And again, you know more about horses, which is why I wanted to talk about it with
Yeah.
you. And again,
No, but what was
for
clear
me,
from the videos
right.
was that neither horse nor rider were prepared for the situation they were in.
This wasn't
Which
a
is
plan.
how you get people hurt. Horses, riders, and anybody in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it was the act of an idiot to go out there on horses like that.
Right.
If you're going to do that, you go borrow some horses from the New York police,
Yeah.
right? That know exactly how to do this, and they're not going to hurt anybody, right? They'll herd people perfectly happily, and they do it by turning their bodies.
Yeah.
Right, and sidestepping into the people, so they're too wide to get around. Right.
I did hear from somebody who is even more adept at writing and more whatever than you, and that's no offense. But she was saying that this was some of the worst riding that she had ever seen. She was offended.
He was appalled.
She was like, "Those poor horses! What the fuck? Like, this is
No, that
not
was my
okay."
reaction. Is that this is incredibly stupid. You're going to get somebody or some poor horse hurt bad.
Yeah.
You're gonna practice riding a horse.
get some
Don't do
horse
it on the
killed.
job.
So the main takeaway, if even if we're gonna say they probably didn't whip anybody, which they probably didn't, and again, if somebody had tried to, because they were like, whoa, and like maybe accidentally tried to grab the reins or something just out of fear or whatever, then yeah, you want that person off, right? You don't touch the horse.
Yeah.
And I get that. So again, that particular part of it might turn into nothing. But there was a lot more happening that was not okay.
We're
So,
very much so focused on
let's-
the wrong part
Yes,
of
let's
this.
stop focusing on this one thing that is probably not true, but also like don't just say it didn't happen without any sort of evidence or proof to back that up. Like let's focus on what really matters, which is these were poorly trained riders, poorly trained horses, and a very bad situation for everybody involved.
Yep.
Like this was not a good thing and should not be touted as, well, they're just doing their job. No, that's
they're
not
not.
The
your
agents
job.
were doing their job. They were doing it irresponsibly. Any
Yes.
At the best
manager,
case scenario.
any reasonable manager would say, "You ain't doing that shit again," and maybe even fire them over it.
Right.
Like,
So
No,
anyway,
it was a very, very, very poor example of horsemanship.
Yeah.
And again, a standard what you should not do.
Yeah.
Kind of lesson.
No, all of my comments run into our don't give good ideas to bad people, because there's no reason any of these people needed to be anything like that close to anyone.
So again, this is just another Fox News pushing their narrative without any knowledge of what. None of these people at Fox News have ever ridden a horse, ever been near a horse, understand what a rein is, or how you work it, or how you get a horse to do what you want it to do.
the most infuriating part, though, is they're making claims that, yeah, sure, okay, but then they're just fucking it up.
Yeah.
They could have easily made this a perfectly fine article,
Right.
but then they had to make it biased,
Yeah.
and, like, super heavily so. They exaggerated it to the point where, yeah, no, fuck you. Like, kind of, yes, but at the same time, no, I can't stand behind them anymore.
And it's the
And
border
not that I
patrol.
ever did. I never stood behind Fox, to
There's-
clarify.
Their history is
Okay,
filthy.
we understand what
Yes.
you're saying. So anyway, I just wanted to. I just thought it was amusing how they worded it and what their complaints were and why, and it was just ridiculous. So anyway, all right. So we just finished recording the show. We're adding this onto the end because we had a breaking news that literally Sleet found as we had
Literally,
logged
as she was
off.
saying the outro,
Yeah.
I saw this, and
And-
then in the time it took me to Google it just to see if any
To double
stories were
check,
there,
yeah.
we had already ended the show. So this was literally the last couple seconds of the
Cool.
show, and yeah, no, former Japanese prime minister was just shot.
Okay, so CNN reports former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in a state of cardiopulmonary arrest after possible shooting, fire department says. This was written by Helen Regan, Junko Ugoro, and Emiko Jozuka.
Cardiopulmonary arrest, not a way you want to be.
It says, former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been rushed to a hospital following a possible shooting during a speech in Nara, Japan. Public broadcaster NHK reports. An official from the Nara City Fire Department confirmed to CNN that Abe is in a state of cardiopulmonary arrest. It means the former prime minister has a sudden loss of heart function and breathing. NHK reported Abe collapsed while giving a campaign speech on a street in Nara City at around 11:30 a.m. local time and appeared to be bleeding after a possible gunshot from the back. According to a Liberal Democratic Party official, Abe was shot in the chest before being rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. NHK reported the former prime minister was then moved to Nara Medical University. He was conscious and responsive while being transported following the shooting, police sources told NHK. A suspect has been arrested and charged with the attempted murder, and a gun was retrieved, the broadcaster reported. CNN has not been able to to independently verify these reports. According to Reuters, Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno, and Abe's condition is unknown. Abe. Former Liberal Democratic Party leader Abe is Japan's longest serving prime minister, holding office from 2006 to 2007 and again from 2012 to 2020 before resigning due to health reasons. An aerial photo showed emergency vehicles at the scene in Nara and a small crowd gathered on the sidewalk. Video broadcast of NHK showed police wrestling a man to the ground on the street near where Abe was delivering his campaign speech. Abe was making the speech in support of LDP candidates ahead of the upcoming upper house elections scheduled for Sunday. He was due to head to Kyoto and Saitama Prefecture near the capital, Tokyo. The United States ambassador from Japan, Raham Emmanuel, said in a tweet early Friday, "We are all saddened and shocked by the shooting of former Prime Minister Abe Shinzo. Abe-san has been an outstanding leader of Japan and unwavering ally of the U.S. The U.S. government and the American people are praying for the well-being of Abe-san, his family, and people of Japan." This is a breaking story, more to follow. So,
There you have it.
we wanted to let you guys know, since this was literally happening, the news story was posted 6 minutes as we finished the end of the show. So
Wow.
yeah. So good catch there. Sleet, he's on
Well done.
top of things, making sure that you hear every juicy, gooey news content that is important at the time. We love y'all. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, heart, follow, review. Smash that like button on YouTube. Go to BoomerRexTonight, no spaces on Facebook, for fun memes and a link to our Patreon. Give us $1. You can find us on YouTube as BoomerRex, or check your favorite podcasting service. For BoomerRex Tonight, we can be found on over a dozen different platforms, including Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Samsung Podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at BRexTonight. And if you Google, BoomerRex Tonight, no spaces, all links will lead you to us. We love y'all. We'll see you back here tomorrow night for more BoomerRex Tonight.
Good night.